Happy October.
Welcome to our witchy kitchen.
Oh, yeah. It's October, so we bought new Halloween decorations.
We're cooking up some children.
Frickin' bats.
So if you hear some kids crying, a baby crying,
just know my anxiety's through the roof and I feel like I'm going to vomit.
Yes, but we're back. We're recording together.
Yes, we are. I'm no longer pregnant.
You have a child.
I do. And I'll just give one very small update, and it has nothing to do with my child and everything to do with something I said weeks ago now, or months ago.
Okay.
I had said that I was excited that I was going to break 200 on the scale, and I had multiple people ask me if I did.
Yes.
I'm here to say, don't worry. I went so far beyond that when I told my brother the number, he said, you and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson are very close. And I looked it up, and that was true.
Congratulations. And for those of you who are wondering, we are actually going to do an entire episode that I think it has evolved because there are a lot of ghost stories we have to tell each other that happened while you were on maternity leave.
Yes.
And so that is going to be the first week of November.
It'll just be the update episode.
The update episode. We get back on our ghostly bullshit. Ghoul shit.
Our ghoul shit.
Our ghoul shit.
Perfect.
But this is an encounters episode.
Mm-hmm.
Also, our podcast name is
Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two Girls, One Ghost.
Forgot that we were supposed to do that.
It's been 3 months. That is your ghostess, Corinne.
Hello.
I am Sabrina. And like we said, this is an encounters episode. And because it's October, we were mixing it up a little bit, but mostly going spooky. And so spooky we are today.
Spooky we are. And we have some ghost stories for you that are some of the darkest ones we could find in our inbox.
Absolutely.
There's a lot.
There are.
So these are just a small smidge of spookiness. And spooky, I feel like, isn't even the right word because...
Terror.
Yes.
Horror.
Absolutely terrifying. Will not sleep after listening to this episode. So if you're someone who is looking for the spooks, this is great. But if you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to sleep tonight, perhaps hit play at like 9 a.m. So you've got the whole day to decompress. Because let me tell you, I feel like some of the stories that I picked out they felt very real to me.
Well, can I pick a bone with you? I feel like is an appropriate term to use for this. Last night we had campfire stories and it was your first one back. And Jackson, one of our listeners, was telling a horrifying sleep paralysis story. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm going to go. Like, I don't know how I'm going to go to bed after this. And so we were like, maybe we'll find someone to share a nice story. And then you let it go, oh my gosh, I haven't told you this. And then you tell the most horrific sleep paralysis story that your brother Christian has experienced.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, good night. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, it was really scary. My brother Christian, who lives in Houston, he called me. He just moved into a new house and he's had a couple of sleep paralysis things happen. And when he was describing it to me, I was like, holy shit, Christian, this is the most terrifying thing in the world.
Yeah.
And it shows how desensitized our family is that he was just like, oh yeah, that's weird. And so I shared it on the campfire stories we did, which if you guys want to watch, it's the one from September 17th that you can rewatch.
It started so sweet with like a beautiful loved one revisiting as a bird and then ended so horrific and terrifying.
Well, I didn't start it.
No, but you
started the terrifying.
You finished it.
Yeah. I was like, oh, and then this happened. And I was describing it and everyone was like, what?
Literally terrifying.
Anyway, sweet dreams, which you'll have after this episode.
The sweetest, utmost sweetest, beautiful dreams. So I'll start.
Great.
Because, it's been a couple of months. We'll ease our way back in.
We're ripping the Band-Aid more like.
This is from our listener, Shelby. And it is called My Ex Best Friend's House Was Possessed by a Demon.
That's just a lot to take
It is a lot.
An ex-best friend, a demon, haunted house.
Yes.
Sounds like maybe they're your ex-best friend because there was something dark taken over them.
Exactly. And this story actually reminds me a lot of My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix, which I read with Ash and Elena for their book club.
Yeah. I listened to that episode and it made me want to read the book.
You did? Oh, well, we can watch the movie. We can do a movie night with it because they have a movie.
Great.
Because I know you have a long list of reading assignments.
Well, I also bought 30 books in anticipation of maternity leave, and all I had time for was 9 episodes of Gilmore Girls in the entire 3 months. So, yeah, I have a lot. I have a big backlog.
You do.
But there's nothing better than an unread library.
And you can never have too many books. Okay, my name is Shelby. For privacy of others involved in this story, I will be changing the names of everyone but myself. Also, I should say that all of these events all at Katie's house, were not what led to my then best friend and I falling out, but it definitely did not help. Back in my junior year of high school, I had a group of 4 really close friends, and we did absolutely everything together. And then I first started to notice things at Katie's house were becoming very different around the time her mom and dad announced that they were getting divorced. I would notice that the air would feel very heavy at first. But then big stuff started happening. It was the fall. The first instance happened on homecoming. Very Carrie.
So Carrie.
Katie was grounded, so she wasn't able to go to the homecoming dance after the game. So myself and my 2 friends, Amanda and Cassie, drove Katie home to drop her off before we went to the school. About an hour after we dropped her off, Amanda got a very distraught call from Katie. Katie was convinced that someone was in her basement.
Oh, that just creeps me out because I know the feeling when you just hear shit and you're like, oh my God, there's someone outside or there's someone in the house. And you have to just freeze for like a full hour in terror listening for any extra creak.
So Katie placed the phone to the door so that we could all hear on speakerphone what literally sounded like glass breaking and just all around commotion.
Jesus.
So naturally, we all hopped into Amanda's car to see what the hell was going on. Why didn't we call the police? I don't know. We were dumb teenagers. So they arrive, they get to Katie's house, and Katie's freaking out. She said she couldn't explain it, but there was absolutely nothing broken in the basement, and no one but her was in the house. We went to the basement, and it was so cold that we could literally see our breath. And absolutely nothing was broken. Another instance was when myself, Amanda, Cassie, and Katie were at Katie's house watching the first Paranormal Activity movie. Great scene setting, of course.
Horrifying.
While we were watching the movie, we kept hearing the very loud tapping periodically on her window. There were a bunch of trees around her house and it was windy, so we kept thinking maybe it was a branch or something. But it wasn't until almost the end of the movie, which, spoiler alert, which I don't think it can be a spoiler alert this many years after the movie came out.
No, you've had like 16 years to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're all good.
That's the age of some people that are listening.
So the main character's dead boyfriend gets thrown at the camera in the movie. At that exact moment, Katie's bedroom door bursts open.
Oh, I just got chills.
We were scared out of our minds and started to pray. As we were praying, I started to feel very lightheaded, and I opened my eyes to notice that my nose had started to bleed while we were praying.
There's so much all at once. This is the most intense. Normally there's a buildup, but there's not. It's like this thing, whatever's been festering here, has already gained all the power, and now it's just unleashing it on these teens.
Well, also, like, what did Shelby not experience? Because Shelby doesn't live here. Like, what is Katie and her family experiencing on a day-to-day basis? So there's lots of other stories, including times where we were convinced that Katie was temporarily possessed. But this last story I want to share is the last time I ever went to Katie's house and the reason I refused to ever go back there. I went to Katie's house for a sleepover, and Katie and I were up late in her living room tossing a ball for her dog to fetch. And I threw the ball a little too hard, sending it across the living room, into the bathroom, across the hall. Her dog stopped in the doorway before entering the bathroom and began to growl and bare his teeth. Instantly, the atmosphere in the room changed, and it felt like a bucket of cold ice had been dumped over me. Then we heard a bang, and all of the antiques her mother had collected fell off the wall at once.
I like how you have that whole sentence memorized. You just stared at me the whole time you said it. Makes me feel like you experienced this.
Do I look into? As the antiques fell, we heard heavy footsteps running down the hallway and into her parents' room, and the door slammed shut behind whatever it was. I didn't stay to figure out what it was. I immediately left, and I left all of my belongings, never got them back, and never went back to that house again.
Yeah, you shouldn't. I'm glad you didn't. I hope everyone in that house got an opportunity to get out, because what the fuck?
Well, you want to hear a kicker?
Yeah.
I found out years later, I'm telling it to you as like I'm reading because I read the sentence. I found out years later that Katie had used a Ouija board in that house and never told us.
Okay, well, I'm gonna play devil's advocate here. What if she used it to try to understand what was going on in the house?
Totally. Did it help? Probably not.
Or maybe Katie unleashed something unknowingly, because Ouija boards are marketed as a children's game.
Great marketing.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's from Shelby.
I feel for Shelby. I feel for Katie.
I know. Is she okay?
Where is she now? The parents that went through the divorce. It just feels like there was a lot of, teen hormones and emotions and figuring out friendships, plus parents going through relationship problems, plus Ouija board. I don't want to say that what happened was inevitable, but it does seem like if there was ever an opportunity for the paranormal, for the negative side of the paranormal to come a knocking.
It did. It was like, hello, thank you for inviting me in.
This does feel like a movie though, with the nose bleeding and
I know
everything. I have a question. Where you grew up, did you guys call it homecoming? We didn't have a homecoming.
Well, we didn't have a football team. I mean, there was like a homecoming dance or like the welcome back dance.
Yeah. But we had like winter ball and prom. That was it. And we had like
I think we called it homecoming,
like a sports like showdown, sort of thing.
There was like a homecoming weekend, but we called it more welcome back weekend, and like there were big sports games. But and then we had a big bonfire on our campus. Fun. That was cool.
That's witchy.
Yeah, it was witchy. I have a confession.
What?
Okay, I think it's episode 289, Tarot versus Oracle. Mm-hmm. You read a listener story from a listener who collected Oracle and tarot decks, and there was one deck in specific that she bought without knowing, and then her teacher was like, never buy this deck.
Yeah. You bought it? Are you
I was so tempted.
I know the next step is you're going to be like, we have to do a live stream on Patreon using this deck. I know that that's going to be that, and I'm going to be pressured into doing it.
The funniest thing that I've seen is like, I think I've just become unhinged in the last couple of years. But in like a fun way.
I left you for a few months and you got to just run with the wind.
Oh, run with the ghosts, you mean? Yes. Literally, I have been chatting them up.
Oh my God. I'm scared.
But nothing like terrifying has happened.
Did you use it?
No, it's still in the wrapping.
Okay. Maybe you want to keep it like that. Like it's a collector's item.
More than anything, I was so curious about the different, just so everyone knows, this tarot deck is called, and I mean, I can't say don't buy it because I bought it, so who am I to judge? But it's called the Occult Tarot, and it's based on the 72 demons named in like the Book of Solomon or something like that. And in prep for our October episodes, I was like, I really do want to do a like very spooky episode, maybe something demonic. And so I'm curious to see the demons that are in the deck, to pick one that perhaps calls to me to speak about.
You're literally going to summon a demon for the demon episode.
For all of you.
October always, like, I truly have a pit in my stomach right now because ever since that 2 Octobers ago, where the flame started just like levitating and we just had so much stuff happen. And then a few months ago when we did the episode with Greg and Dana, or not with them, but
about them.
Yeah. In the Testament book, like just all of the stuff.
And a lot of people have had experiences listening to that episode too.
Even though we quit talking about it.
Yeah. And I also
pretty quickly
added a warning in the very beginning of the episode.
Oh, I just got chills because I'm scared. I'm nervous. And also before it was like when we were fucking around. Why am I swearing? I have a child now.
Also, that purse on the counter is like the most mom purse. Like I feel like I saw it and I was like, Corinne, you're a mom.
I love that purse. It's from Portland leather.
No, I love it, but I feel like it gives me mom vibes.
Yeah, it kind of is. It's kind of like an in-between of like a crossover and a giant bag.
Yeah.
Just enough to throw like a diaper and...
Yeah, your lip gloss.
My lip gloss. Before, we lived in apartments. So it kind of felt like what we're experiencing was scary, but I always felt like I had a little bit of an escape. If something started happening, I'd be like, oh, well, maybe I'll leave it behind at this apartment. Now we both have homes. And it feels more permanent what we conjure up.
I feel pretty safe though. And I've been doing a lot of dabbling.
All right, that's good.
And I think
feel
we also
unsafe
have,
and I've done no soliciting.
Soliciting.
They just arrived.
They just came on their own.
I birthed Noah and all the ghosts came to the yard. So
babies bring the ghosts to the yard.
Yes, they do.
That's what we've learned. Also, I don't know why it's taken this long. We talked about our set decor, but we haven't talked about our outfits and our amazing spooky Halloween gear. Which, of course, if you're watching YouTube, you're admiring.
I'm obsessed with my outfit. Like, I put it on this morning and it's so soft that I was like, I'm going to walk around Salem like 30 times this fall in these clothes.
And you too can wear clothes like this because American Eagle has the most spooky tees, sweatshirts, and PJs to celebrate the Halloween season, both for men and women.
Yes, they do.
My shirt actually glows in the dark. And they match my pants. It's a skeleton being abducted by a UFO.
Okay, well, now I need to get the glow in the dark shirt. I didn't realize that it did glow in the dark. But we were so excited to have American Eagle reach out and want to partner with us because we're the spookiest podcast in America. So why wouldn't they want to? We're super haunted. And they want to dress all of your haunted asses too. So we're doing a giveaway on our Instagram with AE to give away a $500 gift card to shop all of their Halloween shirts and sweats.
So head to our Instagram, 2girls1ghost, to enter to win now through October 31st. Terms and conditions apply. Happy hauntings. Ooh. Actually, you doing that makes me like, I feel like we need to try doing a spell. I know you said like, fuck around and find out, but should we fuck around and find out real quick?
It feels a little less serious. Despite being in front of my spooky cauldron fireplace, the cauldron is plastic and it's a children's Halloween decoration. Yes. So it does feel, I feel like we could try
so you're down.
Spell.
Okay.
Sure.
I can tempt you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just, let's say some Latin-y words and I don't know what we're conjuring or trying to do, but okay.
I don't know Latin, so I'll just...
Amania, Lunia, Dominia, Nica Nueva,
spells from Harry Potter. We've hopped through a wormhole in time.
Stop it. We're witches.
Are we? Well, I guess maybe from the 1600s, someone would look at us and say, those are witches. And we'd say, thank you.
Yeah, we would. And we would steal your land.
And then they would murder us and we would be reborn today as Corinne and Sabrina. There we go.
There we go.
And so we're here.
I'm going to take my bonnet off.
Okay, I'm going to keep mine on.
Because that's the situation.
It's giving Barry under his eye. May the Lord open.
Your legs open. Okay. Well, now that we're appropriately spookily dressed, what story do you have for us this morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're listening?
I have a story from Josh. It is called Naked Spirits, Household Haunts, and Childhood Memories of Grandma and the Hat Man.
I love this subject line, especially it started with naked spirits. So that's and then what Grandma's there.
Mm-hmm. And Grandma's there.
We love nudity here. I'm a never nude, but I love other nudity. Like when everyone else is naked, I'm there for it.
Hey, spooky gang. Firstly, thank you for giving the world a safe and comfortable space to listen and talk about these supernatural and spiritual topics.
Duh, you're welcome.
Duh. It's become something I look forward to maybe a little bit too much. My husband thinks I'm nuts, especially after what we've experienced. Dun, dun, dun. I started listening a couple of years ago, and it didn't take me long to get caught up on all of your episodes. So I have a few stories to tell you that have happened to me and my family over my entire life. And I've been wanting to pass these on to you for so long.
I feel like this is better than like any heirloom we could ever receive.
I know.
The ghost stories being passed on is the best thing in the
entire
world.
Life hauntings.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll go in chronological order just for ease, but I still think that what happened in my childhood home may be more spooky than what's happening now.
Okay.
I am one of 5 children who lived in a decent-sized house over here in New South Wales, Australia. Did I say that right? NSW?
I think so.
That's New South Wales, Australia.
Sure.
To give you
I would have said north, southwest, which doesn't work. So I think you did better than I would have.
We still might be wrong, but we're not going to Google it. To give you a little insight into our house, the main living area was the bulk of the house. And then off the back left, there was a long hallway and a set of bedrooms for our family of 7. Whoa, big family. My older sister was in the back bedroom furthest away, and I was in the one closest to the main living area. We also joked at night how creepy the hallway was, but we never really thought much of it. Sometimes we would run up the hallway in the dark to get to the other rooms faster. My grandma passed away from cancer when I was nearly 13 years old, and just after this happened, we started experiencing our first glimpses of the spiritual world.
Interesting timing. Okay.
On a few random days, our smoke alarms would go off at 6 a.m. and then again at 6 p.m. We all started saying, oh, it's just Grandma checking in. Then on my brother's birthday in April, it happened again. And we said, yep, Grandma saying happy birthday.
Oh, okay. This is nice.
I know. This part is nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry.
A little nervous.
The rest of the episode is, or the email gets way worse.
Great.
This started happening on pretty much every special occasion over the next few years, including Christmas, birthdays, and even Easter. And we're all pretty calm about it. And I think our family liked the thought that our grandma was still around.
That is sweet.
Around the same time, my older sister had twice seen Grandma in her room. Once.
Why did my brain go to saw our grandma naked in her room? Like, I keep going back to naked.
We don't know what image people are going to choose for themselves when they watch you as a ghost become naked. Like the opposite of what you were in life.
I think that works. But it has to be like barbarian naked.
Surprise. Exactly. Well, that's what I thought.
Yeah, like saggy tits.
Dripping wet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Limited hair on head.
Oh, yeah.
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 Once my grandma was standing near my sister's bookshelf in her typical blue summer dress, just gazing at my sister in bed. And the other time she was sitting at the end of my sister's bed. My sister told us all straight away and was luckily never really scared or worried about seeing her. Then some spooky shit happened. The same sister, who definitely has some sort of psychic abilities as a kid, one night screamed and yelled for my parents to come into her room. She was sitting on her bed trying to hide in her sheets, staring at the doorway, the entrance into the hallway. We later found out that my sister had woken up late at night, looked into the hallway to see an extremely tall black shadow of a man wearing a black top hat.
Dun, dun, dun.
She was so freaked out, but my parents calmed her down and everything went back to normal after that. She never saw it again, and we spoke about it randomly over the years. I always remembered the story, and this year, visiting my sister, I mentioned it to her. Basically because I'd heard some similar apparitions after listening to You Ghouls. Mm-hmm. Initially, I thought there's no way it's similar, but the stories are basically the same. Oh. My sister could not believe that other people had experienced the same thing. Wait, I love this, that listening to our podcast allowed someone else to revisit what happened to them in their childhood and realize that they weren't alone.
That's true. I feel like we've had that actually happen a lot.
Yeah.
Where people are like, I didn't even know that this was like a common thing. I thought I was going crazy.
That just like, to me, contributes to the scariness that like the same entities are all over. Okay. Now on to adulthood.
Okay.
I'm learning more and more about my spiritual side. I find it all so fascinating, but yeah, sometimes bloody creepy.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I bought our house 2 years ago, and it didn't take us long for a few little things to happen. Just simple things like flickering lights and random unexplained sounds, but nothing major. We both admitted that we felt something, but it was nothing bad, so we were happy just cruising on. Even our friends who came over said that they would feel like someone's here with us. Sometimes when you're alone, you can definitely feel someone watching you. The first big thing was one night, my husband had just showered and was in bed. I was in the shower about to get out, and I hear my husband ask, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I stepped into view of him in our bathroom, and his eyes widened, and he yelled, "What the fuck? Who was that? You were just there." He then said that he saw me walk from our wardrobe, a totally separate room, to the bathroom, naked, out into the living area. Then he thought, no, it couldn't be. I couldn't see your feet. He said that I was naked. It was the back of me, my back and my bum, heading out of the room before I'd even gotten out of the shower.
And he probably knows that bum.
Yeah, he does. He was pretty freaked out, but nothing felt bad in the house, so we didn't really think too much of it. Didn't think too much of like a freaking mimic. Okay, doppelganger.
Can I pitch a potential not so scary?
Okay.
They just moved into this house. Maybe they were like leaving, they were making their mark, leaving their mark on the house and their stain. And it was just a moment that the house remembered. Because
Josh accidentally created a residual haunting, and it's him naked walking through the room. The next people to live in that house are going to be like, there's a naked ghost. Naked Josh is haunting his own house right now.
Ghost booty.
A while went by with nothing really happening besides the general feeling of being watched and occasionally the lights dimming, until one night we were sitting on the couch watching telly when our coffee grinder in the kitchen started making noises and grinding coffee on its own. We at first thought it was noise from outside, but then we paused the TV just to check. But it started again making these buzzing noises randomly. So my husband looked up at me and was like, "Nope, I'm going to go check." So I got up, I turned the lights on in the kitchen, and yeah, the grinder was now fully going and emptying the whole lot of beans that was in there. Not any of the buttons would do that. I had to unplug the machine in the outlet to make it stop.
Oh.
There was no way that it could go on its own, as all the buttons to get things going, none of them had accidentally stuck to even allow this.
Right.
But that's all I have for now. I'll keep you posted on our household haunts. At the moment, I'm happy living alongside whoever else is here, and hopefully it stays that way. Anyway, thanks again for all the work that you do. I absolutely love it. Cheers, Josh.
Well, Josh, shocker, I'm going to give positive ideas. Maybe this ghost... Oh, bye, Bonnet.
It's back.
It's back. Just loves coffee and loves the way you make coffee and is fascinated by a coffee grinder.
Yeah. Maybe this ghost is obsessed with you. Loves to see you naked, wants to be you, wants to smell the beans
scary
that you make in the morning. Oh, they love you.
Love your bum cheeks and your beans.
Yeah.
Beans and cheeks.
This ghost has a crush on you, Josh.
Well, you'll have to keep us updated because I'm invested.
Me too. Josh is saying that he doesn't feel scared, and so that's kind of making it feel a little less scary right now. Yeah. But when I was reading this last night, I was like, there's literally a naked version of him like dripping wet coming out of the shower, walking through the room. Like that is a terrifying thing to occur.
It's almost more terrifying for Josh's husband, right? Because at least Josh didn't see it, whereas his husband like fully believed Josh was coming into bed and then saw real Josh and was like,
yeah, that's scary. Because it's like maybe it wasn't targeting Josh, it's targeting Josh's husband. And it just reminds me of the Roanoke season of American Horror Story and also like Corinne of Catskills, the like dripping wet entity attached to it. Just the image. I can't.
Yeah. You know what I realized? We went to college with our friend Taylor Wong.
Yeah, she was my roommate.
Her dad wrote and directed all the Final Destinations.
And American Horror Story.
I know that, but like I had no idea he was Final Destination.
Oh, really?
And we talk about Final Destination all the time.
Oh, yeah. No, he's done, and I think he did he's like done a bunch X-Files. But
specifically Final Destination, I was like shocked because...
No, I know. And then when you meet him, he like one time we were over at her house and he was just like making margaritas for us when we were in college. And I'm like standing there at the kitchen, this guy that's like so carefree and silly and like nonchalant. And I'm like, his brain in there fucked up. Like, what's he thinking about right now?
Kind of like us, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we can make some midnight margaritas, but then also we are thinking about...
We're fucked up in the head.
Scenes from House of Wax and stuff like that.
Yes. Okay. Well, I have a story from our listener, Caitlin, and it is called The Times, plural, I Was Living with a Demon.
Wow.
Okay. Friendly roommate. Okay. Background. I'm a baby witch. I have recently started to be able to hear spirits and those types of things. My grandma is a medium, and I am too growing into my gift. I've always had things happen to me or around me, nothing major, but, you know, the feeling of warm hands or loving things around me and things in my dreams. I do get sleep paralysis occasionally, but for this story, we're going to go back before I could even hear the spirits speak.
Wow. Okay.
Back to the great year of 2020. Not that long ago.
Wow. This is really new.
My husband and I, there's a theme here, just moved into a house.
Great. Here's the lesson. Don't have a husband and move into a house. Think that you'll avoid hauntings.
I wish it were that easy. So my husband and I had just moved into our house a few months before this started happening. We had been seeing and noticing that his grandma, who had passed away, was hanging around the house. No big deal. Sweet lady. Just loved to scare her grandson, my husband. Well, one night we went to bed. And I had a sleep paralysis moment. It wasn't too bad to start out, but I woke up and I saw my husband's grandpa standing next to our bed, next to my husband, leaning down and saying goodbye.
But grandpa was alive at the time?
I sat there watching, thinking maybe his grandpa had just passed and I was seeing him say goodbye to my husband.
Right.
Well, when his grandpa,
air quotes,
stood up and noticed that I was watching, he came over to my side of the bed.
No, thank you.
And he leaned down like he was going to say goodbye to me. But instead, he got angry.
Ew.
His eyes went black. And then he put his hands around my throat and started to choke me.
What the fuck?
And started repeating, die, die, die. Over and over again. My body forced me awake because I literally had stopped breathing.
Oh my God.
I woke up gasping for air and I looked over at my husband who was sound asleep. I shook him awake. I told him about my dream. He called his grandpa and his grandpa answered. He was fine. But that is when we realized that something was taking the shape of his grandpa, trying to seem like something nice to get to me. Once we had this realization, my back literally started to feel like it was on fire. So I had my husband look at my back and what was on my back? 3 long scratches.
Oof. Demon.
I called my grandmother, who is who I've inherited my witchy abilities from, and she told us how to bless the house. So we did that, and everything was good until exactly a year later, on the same day, September 9th, when that first incident in 2020 happened.
That's crazy.
So now it's September 9th of 2021, a year after the first thing happened. Same thing, normal night, we went to bed, and at some point, I woke up, again experiencing sleep paralysis. I saw someone walk in front of our bedroom door into the living room. It freaked me out because we live alone with our 2 dogs and we didn't have anyone over. But at first I thought maybe it was my cousin who had sadly just passed away, but was maybe guarding the house. But I got a very fearful feeling deep in my stomach and I rolled over to tell my husband. And when he rolled over, he was so angry that I woke him up that he literally climbed on top of me and started choking me. I was so scared, I closed my eyes. I was trying desperately to get his hands off of my neck. I opened my eyes back up, and I see his eyes are gone. Not like blacked out, but they were gone. And he had scratch marks down his face, like his eyes had been clawed out.
Good Lord.
And he's yelling at me to die, die, die. I truly stopped breathing again for so long. My body jolted me awake.
And this is her husband this time, not her husband's grandpa. Because at first I was like, is something lurking and waiting for the grandpa to die on September 9th one of these years? But it's just what's going to happen to them on September 9th?
I don't know.
Aside from this every year.
We did get a kind of somewhat update that I'll read also. So I wake up and I look over. My husband is sound asleep. I got my emotions in check. I got up, going to the bathroom, thinking, okay, it was just a sleep paralysis moment. Nothing can hurt me. I'm fine. It was just a dream. But I looked in the mirror and I had 2 thumbprints and 3 finger outlines around my neck. I wish I had taken a picture of it, but it faded so quickly. So after this happened, I went to a friend's house the next day and I was telling them about what happened. And my one friend went to school to become a minister. So I had him come bless the house. Now remember, we had been in this house for over a year at this point. So after unpacking, you kind of forget what you have. Well, I did have a Ouija board. I know, stupid college kid buy from years before, thinking it would help me become a medium faster. My friends came over and the room that the board was in was physically 10 degrees colder than the rest of the house.
Ew. That's a huge difference too.
Get this. So my minister friend takes me outside with the board and we burned it while he went through blessing the house, hung up crosses, laid out Bibles in every room. And outside, I put the board on the fire pit. My husband dumped gasoline and oil on the board. Then we lit it. But I'm telling you guys, it did not burn. For 45 minutes, it would not catch fire. It was a Ouija board, a piece of cardboard, which should have ignited immediately, especially after being doused in gasoline.
This literally makes me nauseous to hear about.
So I decided I would put more oil on it and move it around with a stick to make sure it burned. Once I was the one to move it around and put a flame to it, it finally burned. Which I think is kind of interesting. Like Caitlin needed to be the one to burn it.
Yeah. Which does make me a little bit skeptical because I'm like, okay, was this something kind of ceremonious where it's like Caitlin's closing
the loop?
What was opened? Or is this something where it was like burning the Ouija board is the wrong move and that's going to keep whatever's here. And so it had to be Caitlin to do it to like keep the entity attached to her.
Well, I don't know, but Caitlin did send up a follow-up email, which was sent probably a year after the first email. And she clarified, she's like, to give you some background to all of these stories, I have been getting sleep paralysis since I was 11. And it started out with me just waking up, looking at my body. So it was like paralysis and astral projection.
Yeah.
I couldn't move or scream. And as I got older, it got worse, which led to the stories I gave in my first email. Well, I thought it was just one demon or one entity. But after speaking with my grandma about what was going on, she came to cleanse my house and see what was happening. Because prior to this, nothing had ever been physical. But now, since living in this house, twice something had tried to choke me.
Yeah.
Come to find out that the tree in my backyard used to be used as a hanging tree in the 1800s. I live off a main road that has been around since it was just dirt and runs the same path as the railroad tracks. These tracks are about 50 feet from my front door. And where my house sits, there used to be a barn. And as the trains would come through, people who were riding the trains would jump off and sometimes try to make shelter in the barn.
Mm.
Anytime the barn owner would find people on his property, he would hang them in the tree.
Oh, that makes me so sad.
Come to find out that the spirit that took my husband's form and was choking me, telling me to die, was probably the old property owner from the 1800s.
Yeah.
My grandma said he thought I was an intruder and was trying to get rid of me like he would anyone else when he was living on that land.
That makes sense. Or even if he's not actively there, I always go back to the Bell Witch Cave, which is one of the early episodes we ever did back in like 2018 or maybe 2017 at that point, where someone's energy can break off and fester
like
into
a shadow
its own,
person,
like, entity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I wonder if because of how many murders he basically committed, if there's like a piece of him, that anger, that the aggression that continues on.
My only qualm with that though is like, why not appear as that man? Why appear as your husband's grandfather and then as your husband? Like it's
because maybe it chipped off and it's its own like
it's like a weird dark demon.
But also we should ask the question, why not also try to harm Caitlin's husband?
That's a good question. I don't know. So my grandma tried helping him move on and find peace, but he's an angry old man who now lives in my office closet.
Oh.
He won't leave. So my grandma did a locking spell, which locked him in the closet so he can't harm me anymore. It's the one room in my house that I literally cannot be alone in.
I would never go in at all. Why not just seal it off?
Right. Or just like use it as storage.
Then you have to go in. Imagine getting all excited to decorate for Christmas and then you have to go in and meet the demon who's going to strangle you while you try to grab your stocking.
Yeah, just open the closet. That closet should just not have anything.
Seal off the closet. Yeah.
When he gets really mad, I can feel his energy and can tell someone is watching me. Since being locked up, he has not been able to do anything to me, but I have so many other ghost stories, visions of future events, like seeing my husband run around with our kids 6 years before we got married.
Wow.
By the way, I'm also now carrying those twin boys that I had seen in a vision.
Wait, I was just going to say, I feel like, did we already read an email from Caitlin? Because the seeing her husband with their kids years before, we read an email like that.
Maybe we did.
So we must have read hers, or there's just other people who experienced that.
The due date was June 2024. So I'm curious if similar to Corinne with a baby, 2 babies, how hauntings have progressed in your home. Caitlin, you'll have to keep us updated. And that is from Caitlin.
And best of luck with your Geminis.
Yes. Well, or it could be, what's after that?
Cancer. I guess it turns to Cancer on like the 22nd or 24th or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that is
terrifying.
Yeah, Caitlin, I'm not really sure what to say because there's so much happening around you and it feels like it should happen to other people too, but it's only happening to you.
Well, maybe because Caitlin is open and like a baby witch and starting to tap in a little bit more. And perhaps, I mean, clearly there's something associated with the Ouija board too, because that room was 10 degrees colder. Maybe there was also an additional energy. I don't know. But I do think this is one of those things where I'm so glad Caitlin has her grandmother who is experienced and knowledgeable on the paranormal and can come in and be like, I got you. We're going to lock this bad boy in a closet.
That's the best case scenario for what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm so curious what that locking spell ritual is because I feel like maybe that's a useful piece of information for all of us here who listen.
Yeah.
Just in case we find ourselves in need of banishing and locking something that we can't just encourage to move along easily.
And we've proven this episode that we can conjure and cast spells and change outfits magically.
It's a quick change.
Yeah. I feel like the subject line of the one that you have next it's a little scary for me.
It's actually horrifying.
Great. Buckle up. Grab your butts.
Okay, this is called, Did I Just See the Girl from the Ring Crawling Out of My Bathtub?
Huh.
Hi, Ghostesses.
Hey.
I have to start off by saying I'm obsessed with your podcast. It feels so good to have found a community of peeps who share the love of all things paranormal. Thank you for not only creating a badass podcast, but also for bringing all of us spooky ghouls and goblins together to share our stories.
Fuck yeah.
Thanks for being here. Anyway, let's get to it. I will start off by saying I'm very sensitive to the paranormal and I've had so many experiences with hearing and seeing and feeling spirits for as long as I can remember. I have lots of stories that I plan to write in the future, but this one is the one that gives me chills down my spine every single time I think about it. Back in 2016, I moved into an apartment with my now husband, boyfriend at the time.
Another moving into a new place with a partner. Don't do it, I guess.
No, don't do it. Stay apart. My house is across the street.
Across the tree.
This apartment complex was brand new, and we were so excited to start our future together there.
Cute.
Mike has known about me being sensitive to the paranormal, as I told him not long after we started dating. Let's just say that my parents' house that I lived in prior to us moving into this apartment is pretty haunted, but that's a story for another time. Mike has always been open to what I experience and the stories that I have, but he's still pretty skeptical sometimes. When we got our keys to the apartment, Mike, my sister, and I walked in, and the energy just seemed a little off. Mike was looking around the kitchen, and my sister and I walked into the bathroom, which led to a little hallway that connected to the bedroom. In that hallway was our washer and dryer. This is an important detail for later in the story. My sister and I stood there, and we looked at each other. Without saying anything, we just knew and both sensed something. She looked at me and said, I have a weird feeling like we're being watched.
I already don't like this.
Yeah.
Like I already physically feel unwell by this story. Okay.
I nodded my head in agreement, but just kind of brushed it off because I didn't want to freak myself or Mike out, especially since this was our first time living on our own and sleeping in a new place. Fast forward to about a month later, everything was great. I didn't sense anything. I kind of forgot about the whole experience that my sister and I had. And Mike and I were sitting in the kitchen at the table eating dinner. And in my view, off to the right is where the bathroom was. The bathroom door was open and the light was off. It was wintertime, so it was really dark outside, and we were just hanging with the kitchen lamps on. Those lights were pretty dim, and as we finished up dinner, my phone vibrated, so I grabbed it, but it was weird because there was no notification. So I put my phone back down on the table, and then I noticed that Snapchat was open. I thought to myself, I must have accidentally opened the app when putting my phone down. So I went to close out of the app, and it snapped a picture of the kitchen island and part of the bathroom by itself. Right before I went to exit out of the picture and cancel it, I noticed what looked like a girl in a white dress who was barefoot standing next to our bathtub facing me.
Do you have that? Do we have the picture? Is it here?
No.
Why do I want to see it?
I know, I kind of do too.
I can picture it perfectly, but I also want to see it.
The picture didn't have a full view of the bathroom, so all I saw were legs and the bottom of what looked like a white nightgown or a dress with long black hair. Yes, picture the girl from the movie The Ring.
Samara. Whoa. That just gave me willies. We've been apart for so long, but we're still in sync.
We are. That is what she looked like. I looked closer at the photo and instantly looked up at the bathroom, but nothing was there. So I freaked out. I showed Mike the photo, and he said that he couldn't see what I was seeing, and it was dark, and my eyes must have just been playing tricks on me.
So only Kristen can see.
I guess.
Oh, that's even creepier.
I couldn't get that image out of my head. Later that night, I went into the bathroom to take a shower, and while I was washing my hair, I heard a girl's voice say, "Hello?" And I immediately pulled the shower curtain open, and of course, no one was there. A few weeks later, I've had the chills like 3 times reading this. A few weeks later, I was home alone. Mike was at work and I was cleaning. I had music playing and I was sweeping the floor. I was sweeping with my back towards the bathroom, bad idea, when I backed into someone.
Nope. Oh my God.
I quickly turned around and there she was, standing there, dripping wet in a dirty white dress with long black hair that was tangled and sopping wet. Her teeth were dark and rotten. Her skin was gray and looked like she had been dead for a long time. I screamed and I backed away super fast and I ended up tripping over the dustpan and I fell flat on my ass. My heart was racing. And when I looked back up, she was gone.
Okay. I'm terrified. But is this like just sadly a spirit who drowned?
Potentially.
Okay.
I grabbed my keys and I ran out of the apartment as fast as I could. Later on, when I told Mike what happened, he saw that I was visibly shaken up and was very interested in what I was experiencing. He wanted to get to the bottom of it. And I don't know if it was just because he was a little skeptical and he'd never experienced those types of things, but I felt like I was going crazy. One night, I was exhausted from work and I told Mike that I was calling it a night and I was going to go to bed. He was watching a movie out in the living room and said, "Okay, good night." The next morning, he came to me and said, "The weirdest thing happened to me last night." He said he was sitting on the couch watching the movie and from the corner of his eye, he saw a girl walk from the kitchen towards the bedroom. But by the time he looked over, he didn't see her anymore. So he said he thought, oh, Kristen must have been grabbing some water or something. So then he went into the room to check on me and I was asleep. I asked him what the girl looked like and he said she was wearing white. I was wearing a black t-shirt and shorts that night. I had instant chills, especially knowing that I was asleep when she walked into our room.
Oh, yeah. Like she was walking into the room you were sleeping in. What was she planning to do had he not seen it? Which I will say, I'm glad that now he is experiencing it because now Kristen's not alone.
Yeah, right.
It.
And for such a skeptic who'd never experienced anything to experience it, like that's huge.
Like take this in the worst way possible. I love when skeptics get haunted.
Me too. But that's what they really want.
And that's also what they deserve.
Things started getting more and more crazy. Mike was having night terrors and sleep paralysis all the time.
Oh,
Mike deserves it.
I was about to say, sorry, Mike.
I would keep waking up to him mumbling from trying to speak and the bed shaking because he was trying to move, but he couldn't. I would have to do everything I could to wake him up from it, and it was absolutely terrifying. Towards the end of our lease, I noticed that the washer started smelling really bad, like something was rotten.
Ew.
All of our clothes smelled terrible. We cleaned the washer numerous times, but nothing helped. And it got so bad that we started to wash our clothes at our parents' house because I was starting to get this really bad rash on my skin every time we washed our clothes in the apartment. We had the apartment maintenance guy come out and take a look at the washer, and he ended up coming and looking at it while both me and Mike were gone at work.
Oh, no.
I got back from work before Mike did, and the maintenance guy had left a note. It said, quote, "Washer should be good now. I took the drum out and found this old piece of cloth that looks like it had been stuck underneath for a long time. I removed it and cleaned everything out." End quote. Right next to the note was the cloth, an old, dirty white cloth, the same style as that girl's dress. I grabbed the cloth I took it out to the dumpsters. There was no way in hell I was going to have anything linked to that spirit in my home. After the incident, we didn't experience anything there again.
Shut up. Stop. Okay.
Scary.
But also like a piece of cloth. Also, think about where all these other pieces of cloth are. Is this spirit haunting multiple places? Why?
Right.
Ugh. Ah.
Or it's so confusing because it's like, was she haunting there because of the cloth? Or is the cloth just kind of like a way that this spirit can, almost like she's leaving like a little token.
Like a Horcrux.
A Horcrux. Yeah. Like she can go back there and continue to haunt because she's planted herself there via this hidden fabric that's almost impossible to find.
Do you think a bunch of landfills all over the world are just like extremely haunted because of disposed Ouija boards,
100%.
haunted objects, and pieces of cloth?
Yeah. Man, Earth is haunted everywhere. But especially in landfills.
Go to your local landfill and talk to ghosts. Our next live stream.
Catch us on the top of this trash pile. Later on, we moved out into a beautiful home. The energy was always bright and it felt great. It was such a fresh start and I was excited to get away from all of those experiences. A few nights into living into this new house, I dreamt that I was sleeping and I rolled over in bed. And when I did, she was laying right next to me. My hand landed in her wide open mouth. I felt her cold, wet hair on my arm, her teeth on my fingers. She rolled over quickly and she tried to choke me. I grab her, I push her off of me and I said, "You're not allowed in my space. Your energy is not welcome here. Leave us alone." I woke up screaming. I was terrified that I didn't get rid of her when we left the apartment. And since that dream, we've never experienced her again.
I'll just say, because I didn't read the story, I hate that I was led to believe that the hauntings ended and then there was this horrifying thing that you experienced. God damn it, Kristen.
We never learned where the spirit came from or what her history was, especially being that our apartment was brand new. Maybe she'd lived on the land years and years prior to any of these buildings that were there. Our town does have quite a spooky history. I have a lot more stories that I plan to share in the future, but until then, stay spooky and see you on the other side. Kristen.
Well, fuck, Kristen.
More like, fuck you, Kristen. That was scary.
I'm just glad it has stopped since then.
Yeah.
It does sound like Kristen's boyfriend, Mike, almost had a worse time with this spirit once he was able to see it, like having constant sleep paralysis and nightmares and shaking to try to wake up. I mean, granted, you both had a shitty experience. I apologize for that. Well, I didn't do anything wrong, but sorry.
Inner monologue coming out.
So I don't know what else to say about that. That's terrifying.
I don't know. It's just absolute. Like this could be a movie. Like this entire email could easily be the entire plot of a movie. Like finding that, especially if the final scene is her waking up and being choked. Like you think that the main character is finally, Kristen, make it a short film.
We'll write it. It's ours.
Well, you've already written it.
You gave it to us.
We'll be the actors.
Oh my God. Yes. Can we please?
Yeah.
Can we please?
That would actually be so fun. Is like picking out some. I feel like I just sounded like I was from freaking Big Mouth or something. That'd be so freaking fun. So I'm like the freaking hormone monster, but like the like decrepit old one with one ball. No, but that would actually be really fun. Is like picking out a story or two and acting them out like a drunk history sort of thing.
We have to. That should be a special that we do.
More ideas, and we need talented people to help us execute.
We need talent.
We need talent because we are not it.
Okay, can I actually say something really quick? Because recently, you know this, but I'm going through some stuff, as apparently I always am. And I was talking to a friend and she was like, "How are things going?" Like, yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, God damn it. I'm just like, I need a low level possession by like a friend. To like just take over me to make moves.
I need 2 hours.
Right. So like literally get into take over.
Maybe at the light coma too, you know? And then we like just give me like 16 days of you in a coma. I'll work it out. And when you come back, I'll tell you it's many years in the future. Everyone who's hurt you is dead. You have no choice but to move forward.
In the 16 days, are you like, do you look like me or are you and I'm just in a coma? Like,
no, I tell those people that you perished.
Oh,
They have no idea.
So you're faking my death.
I'm faking your death. I'm taking over your social media. You're a missing person, actually.
I think, weirdly enough, having you try to possess me would be easier than this elaborate scheme.
But this one is more fun.
It is.
And then they're going to make a freaking Netflix special about me and how crazy I was for trying to fake your death.
But you helped me.
While my BFF was in a coma. Doesn't that sound like a great
that
friend?
You put me in.
Just like a light level
casual
poisoning.
Coma. Oh, you poisoned me. Okay.
Just so that your heart rate has slowed. And
instead of medically induced coma, you're going to poison me?
I'm going to do what they do. Remember we did that episode in Haiti, wasn't it? Where they were the walking zombies? Zombie people? Yeah. We're going to just sprinkle a little bit of that in your own version of catnip.
I take back one. I'll handle my stuff.
Okay.
See,
all it takes is a light threat
of putting you in a coma.
And poisoning you.
But
and telling everyone you love you're dead.
Anyway, thanks everyone for being scary and having terrifying stories to share with us so that we could share them back with you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for joining us, and we love you all. If you have any haunting encounters, they don't have to be terrifying like these emails that we read today are, but I do like them. They could be anything. Haunted, if you've seen aliens, if you've seen cryptids, if you've seen loved ones who've passed away, come back in different ways, reincarnation, truly anything along the oddity spectrum, run the gambit, share with us. Email it to us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com.
If you're looking for more hauntings, if you're looking to share your story live with us every Tuesday night, if you're looking to check out some of the paranormal investigations we do, head over to Patreon, 2 Girls, 1 Ghost. We have a lot of extra content that's over there, including extra episodes that are exclusive to Patreon.
Yes.
And we also have a YouTube where we do some fun things unique to the video format as well.
Yeah, that are only on YouTube because we're now paranormal investigators and we live 30 minutes from each other. Yeah. So we're hanging out all the time being our spookiest selves.
And thank you to our very spooky and talented editor, Jamie, for editing the audio and video of our podcast and the exclusive content.
And thank you to all of you for being here and being in the pyramid scheme. We love you all so much.
And we will
see you on the other side.